अर्जुन सर का फोन आ रहा है।
Namaste.
Namaste.
Lonavala. Good evening. Good
Very
afternoon.
good evening.
Good morning, or whatever time it is at your place. Hope you are safe and healthy. Kaivalya Dham brings a series of talks for you right there where you are at your comfortable homes. This series is live session with the Master, Shri O Tiwari Ji, on every Thursday of this month at 5:30 p.m. India time. You can see this session on YouTube and on Facebook. So let's begin our session with the Shanti part, the peace invocation, Sahana Bhavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu. Please sit comfortably with your back, neck, and head in one line. Those who know this prayer may gently close the eyes. Others may look at the screen for words. Inhale. Om Sahana Bhavatu, Sahanau Bhunaktu, Sah Viryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vitvishavaihai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Once again, Namaste from Kaivalya Dham. The founder of Kaivalya Dham, Swami Kovalyananda Ji, was Jagannath Ganesh Gune in his earlier days. And Jagannath Gune had three preceptors in his earlier life. Vinayak Rao Apte in school till 1903 in Pune, Lokmanya Tilak from 1904 to 1907, and it was an informal one, and Professor Manik Rao in Baroda from 1907 to 1910. So this was his Gune phase. Jagannath Gune wanted to deepen his practices of yoga. So he expressed his desire to Professor Manik Rao in Baroda. And Professor Manik Rao was a perfect master of indigenous system of physical education. He guided him to meet His Holiness Paramhans Madhavadas Ji Maharaj. This is where his Swami Kuvalyananda phase begins. With his disciplehood under Paramhans Madhavdas Ji Maharaj for 3 years, from 1919 to 1921. Paramhansa Madhavdas Ji Maharaj was living at the banks of Narmada at Malsar. And inspired by his guru in 1921, Swami Kuvalyananda Ji started his scientific research in the field of yoga, coordinating the modern sciences with the yogic culture. Founded the Kaivalya Dham in 1924 and started the quarterly journal Yoga Mimansa. His most important ideal was to combine science with spirituality. He founded Kaivalya Dham with these ideals: to prepare a patriotic young generation through education, to integrate physical education with general education, to combine science and spirituality by coordinating yoga and modern science. And from this revered karma bhumi of this extraordinary scientific sage, we bring to you this series of talks with none other than the direct disciple of Swami Kuvalyananda Ji, Pujya Guruji Shri Om Prakash Tiwari Ji. In today's session, he is going to talk about the practices given in the text Hathapradipika. So here is this live session with the master, the words of wisdom from the master himself, Pujya Guruji Shri O Tiwari Ji. Over to him now.
My pranams to every listener. As I always say, that our happiness depends upon the achievements what we desire. If they are less, we are unhappy. And if they are more, we are very happy. I don't claim anything about me, but I always request, expect the minimum, you will be happy. It is true that I learned physical yoga and also the spiritual aspect from my teacher, Swami Pujya Swami Kevalyananda Ji. But always he used to say, remember that yoga has a vast field of knowledge. And when you sit for meditation, you always have the Jnana Mudra, the symbol of knowledge, which tells you that you know only this much of the knowledge which is existing. You have to know more and more. Don't think that you have become master. I'm still a student as you are. Maybe we are both walking. Maybe I am a little steps ahead. You may be little behind. But none of us has crossed the ocean. So I'm like you, but little senior. Now we come to our main topic about the Hathapradipika. Regarding the practices, I will take it very systematically and try to explain what I learned from my teacher. Don't think it is mine. Everything belongs to him. I am only a carrier of. So, remember when the Hathapradipika was edited in Kaivalyadham, which was his cherished desire, because you know, India was under foreign rules for 1000 years. 700 Islam, 300 the British. The maximum loss of literature happened within 700 years. Manuscripts were burnt. Thousands of manuscripts. They say our library, very famous library, was smogging for 6 months. So Swamiji thought that something is missing from Hathapradipika. And as you know, along with the scientific department, we have also a philosophical literary department. Because Swamiji was never satisfied only with scientific department. He said, from where we will get the hypothesis, from where we will collect the real knowledge, we need manuscripts. So he started a library with manuscripts also. He was very sure that part of Hathapradipika is missing, because those days only Hathapradipika with 4 chapters are available. And he told the staff that try to search, try to collect the manuscripts, because it is not Sampurna. So our staff consulted few hundred manuscripts, and out of that 2 or 3 manuscripts we found where 5th chapter was there. The present Hathapradipika only had 4 chapters. And Swamiji constantly said, we must search. There has to be something. And really, the 5th chapter was very important because it carried the information. When a practitioner develops a disorder by wrong practices or because of wrong food, what should he practice? How to avoid this disorder? So then the Hathapradipika was printed with 5th chapter. Swamiji always used to say, we should never think that you know everything. Always keep on searching. Keep on reviving. Maybe some better line you get. Now you will wonder, when we want to find out the date of Hatha Yoga, so far we are still searching when really it started. We know this much, that yes, it is a branch of Tantra. Tantra also, one was purely physically understood. Another was symbolic. Therefore, they became 2 branches of Tantra. It seems because there is one manuscript called Guhya Samaj Tantra. This manuscript is written by the author, a king of Gujarat. His name is Asanga, Asanga. And it is dated 3rd century AD because he was the ruler. And this Guhya Samaj Tantra mentions about the Hatha Yoga. It gives you a glimpses how close the Buddhism was with the yoga. It says, Yada na siddhyate bodhi hatha yogena sadhaya. If you are finding difficult to achieve the bodhi, the realization, in Buddhism, try not to forget practice Hatha Yoga. Now, the date is very definite, 3rd century AD. It takes me to that century that Hatha Yoga was practiced those days. But no book of that time, a manuscript on Hatha Yoga, we could not find so far. It must be existing then, but nothing now. So, as the author of Hathapradipika has said, he shows the glimpses of the social situation of those days. He says, Bhrantya Bahumatadhvante Rajayogam Ajanatam. With a prevailing confusion in the field of yoga, people do not know what real Hatha Yoga is. They do not know what is real Raja Yoga is. Because Bhrantya, there is a confusion. There are many opinions. Hathapradipikam dhatte swatmaram kripakara. That is why has compelled me to write Hathapradipika. Remember one thing. In the market, still I think they have not withdrawn. The book published by many publishers, they call it Hatha Yoga Pradipika. While the author himself has said, Bhrantya Bahumatadhvante Rajayogam Ajanatam Hatha Pradipikam Dhatte Swatmaram Kripakara. This book is known Hatha Pradipika. That is why Kaivalyadham has corrected the name and we call it Hatha Pradipika with 5 chapters. So this is how the Kaivalyadham is trying to edit and re-edit the books, manuscripts in the original form. Because many times I have seen people never read. They practice beautifully, but they never read the text. I'm not blaming them. I'm only emphasizing the need of reading the text. For example, you must have seen people are doing Bhujangasana. They don't care where the position of the navel is. While the Swatmaram very clearly says Angushtau naviparyantam adhau bhumo nigadyate. From toe to the navel, it must rest on the ground. Navel should not be raised. Above, further from navel, yes, all the portion has to be raised. And remember, Bhujangasana is one asana which claims that it will generate the vibration in the Kundalini. But we do not care. My advice to all the students, all the people, they must go through the original text. They come to know what is said, what are the claims. And also they should feel Hatha Yoga in itself is not the goal. As Swatmaram has said, Kevalam Raja Yoga Hatha Vidyopadishyate. I am writing, preaching Hatha Yoga to achieve the highest state of the Raja Yoga. They are not opposite to each other. The confusion was spread those days. That is why he has used the word Bhrantya Bahumatadbhant. What he says is, Hatha bina Raj, Rajayugam bina Hatha, na siddhyati. You cannot realize the goal if you think that Hatha Yoga is different and Raj Yoga is different. Hatha Yoga is better or Raj Yoga is better. No distinction should be given. For the practices, it is not the seriousness which is needed. My Guru always said it is the sincerity which is needed. So, then question comes is, you should know very systematically about the Hatha Yogic practices. Because it is said, Anabhyase Visham Vidya. Any science, any knowledge will become like poison if you don't practice it. So, he says, a practitioner of yoga must remember the sequence in Hatha Yoga. Asanam, Chitram Mudra. This is a sequence. And also there is another book, Ghosh Samhita. It says instead of 4 steps in Hatha Yoga, he recommends about 6 steps. Hathapradipika says, Asanam kumbhakam chitram mudrakhyam karandatha ath nadanusandhana abhyasanu kramo hatha. Asan, kumbhak means pranayam, chitram, kriya. This is the sequence, and nadanusandhan, samadhi. But don't get confused. Gorakhnath, who was the very successful, famous yogi, realized one, he says, Asanam prana sanrodha. Prana sanrodha means pranayam, means kumbhak. Asanam prana sanrodha pratyaharasya dharana dhyanam samadhi retani yogangani vatanti shat. He divides these 4 steps into 6. But if freedom of thought ever existed in India, it was welcomed, it was discussed. So that is how now the question comes is a practitioner of yoga, what he should be careful. First he says is you should be aware what you not to do. And he says there are 6 things which you should avoid. अत्याहार प्रयासश्च प्रजल्पो नियमग्रह जनसंगश्च लौल्यंच षड्भिर योगो विनश्यति. Overeating. Generally, if food is tasty, our mind says, go on eating. We will follow the discipline tomorrow. Then he says, many persons are there who practice asana like a physical exercise. Prayasascha. As you know, Patanjali has given a beautiful definition. How to do asana. Hathapradipika also says the same thing. Hathapradipika says, just like Patanjali says, sthir sukham asanam. Asan is that. Sometimes it is wrongly translated. That asana is steady and which gives you a feeling of well-being is asana. Hathapradipika says, Kuriyat tadasanam sthairiyam arogyam changalaghavam. Asana should result in steadiness of your body, freedom from disorder, and lightness of the body. You will feel full of energy, but very light. So what Patanjali has said, exactly Hathapradipika says the same thing. Asana should never be done as a physical exercise. Physical exercise have the different purpose. They will more activate the mind. As I said in my last lecture also, that mind has to be calm. It should be concentrated on one point. Sthirta should be there. Steadiness should be there when we practice. Otherwise, if you say that it is comfortable and sukh asan, then the sleeping posture is best. No. Asana must give you steadiness of the body and feeling of well-being in the mind. That is why, as Justice said, Shanai Pantha, Sanai Kantha, Asanani Shanai Shanai. Whenever you go walk, in walking, don't run. Your behavior with your husband, for ladies and husband with wife, should be very calm. Practice of asana, the same way should be Shanai Shanai. So this we should remember and also be aware about how to do asanas and what to eat and how much to eat. So He says, as I said before, atyahar, overeating should be avoided. You must know how much to eat. Prayasascha, to do asana with force, like gymnast. Gymnast is not bad, but gymnast is gymnast when you do it. But asana should not be done as gymnast. Prajalpo, when you are practicing, don't talk much. Avoid talking. And another thing he says, it is for teachers. Prajalpo niyamagraha. Those teachers who insist upon the following of every rule also is an obstacle. You should not, whatever is possible to do, that you should stick. And what is difficult and cannot do, don't force yourself. And janasangascha lolyancha, too many public contact, friends. You are going to practice, your friend comes and you say, okay, I will practice tomorrow. That tomorrow never comes. So this is what he says. So then he says, how should be your food? Susnigdha madhurahara chaturtans vivarjita bhujyate shiva sampriti mitahara sauchit. He says, atyahar is overeating. Don't resort to atyahar. Resort to mitahar. Mitahar means a limited, needed diet. But he says, susnigdha, it should contain the ghee. Because in India, the ghee means a basic energy product. It gives you the energy, especially nerves. So susnigdha, but it is okay, ghee. But he says food should be tasty also. So snigdha madhurahara, madhur ahar, very tasty. Chaturthans vivarjitaha. And at that time you tell your mind not to overeat. Your mind will say, let us eat today, tomorrow we will see. And chaturthans, you should have capacity to withdraw when 1/4 of your stomach is empty. Why? Vayu sancharanaarthaya chaturthmev avashishyate. Yes, because the gases must be able to move. Water must be able to have space. Therefore, susriddha madhurahara chaturthans vivarjitaha bhujyate shiva sampriti. You must give thanks to Almighty who has provided you the food. Mitahara sauchite. That will be called as proper diet for a practitioner of yoga. Don't forget it. You should never overeat. A practitioner should not overeat. And that is why he advises that susnigdha madhurahara, full of nutrition, full of taste, but you should know how to eat, how much to eat. So I think my time is telling me to stop. Don't talk much. This is one of the obstacles. So we will meet next Thursday. Whatever your questions are, I welcome them because I love questions. That does not mean I can answer everything. I will say if I don't able to answer, I will say I'm sorry. Thank you for listening. If any questions
Thank
are
you very much,
there,
Guruji. Here is
I am
the
open.
question from Sudha Yoga. As per Hathapradipika, yoga sadhana must not, sadhana nahi, it should be sadhaka. Yoga sadhaka must not take bath in early morning. Kindly explain why should not take early morning bath.
I think they had in mind about your joints that early in the morning, generally we used to go in the river. And many times people used to feel the body ache. To avoid that, they must have advised to just avoid the early morning bath.
Next question, Guruji, is can say a word about Natha yogis for their contributions.
Very good question. See, you know, one of the best book is written on Nath Yoga by Dr. Harjari Prasad Dwivedi. Just as Hatha Yoga says, Adinathaya namostu tasmai, enopadishta Hatha Yoga vidya, vibhrajate pronnata rajyogam arudha radirohini. So, the Lord Shiva is the master, the guru of all yogas. Nath Sampradaya, by name it is known because the highest Nath is Lord Shiva. And Nath Sampradaya also have certain yoga practices. Really speaking, the Khechiri etc. comes from Nath Sampradaya to Hatha Yoga. They were going very close. And there was a time when especially the northern India up to Nepal was ruled by the Nath philosophy. And Gorakhnath was known for it. Gorakhnath has the same place as in Advaita Vedanta Shankaracharya has the place. And there are many texts of theirs which are Gorakshatak is one of the texts which we have printed. So they were really following the same tradition of yoga, which of course they were senior than Hatha Yoga, but the practices were very common because the goal was the same. Yes.
So next question is, pranams to the real teacher. I have a question. When you were student, what subject did Swami Kuvalyananda ji teach?
Patanjali Yoga Sutras.
अच्छा, गुरुजी हमने ऐसा सुना है कि स्वामी जी चाहते थे कि सभी को योग सूत्र याद हों. We have heard that Swami ji wanted all the students to memorize the Yoga Sutras. Is it true? And if it is true, why was it so? So we have to wait. There is some technical issue with Guruji's side. So there is a question that when Swami Kuvalyananda ji was teaching, he expected each and every student should remember and memorize all 195 sutras, because this is the Yoga Darshana, and Swamiji was teaching Yoga Darshana. So it was not only the Hatha Yogic practices which were practiced here, it was also the Yoga Darshan which was taken very seriously and very sincerely. So he would expect that everybody would memorize all the sutras, and only then can the student be taken. Okay, so there is some technical issue with Guruji's side. So we conclude this session, and we would like you to please stay tuned to Kaivalya Dham, and from this studio, Prajna studio of Kaivalya Dham, we hope to see you again and again. We have many workshops and courses coming live right to you. You may look at the website kedham.com for more details. And we say namaskar from here, from the Prajna studios. Let's stay connected. Namaste.